Welcome to the Brian Ruhe Show. It's June 20th, 2018, one day from summer. My guest is Geraldine Westfall in South Carolina. We met about 2014 through Justice for Germans, and we've been Facebook friends for a while. And Geraldine worked for the VA, and she's an experiencer, contactee. We're going to talk about some of her paranormal experiences because I have an interest in this. So Geraldine, welcome to the show.
Oh, hi, Brian. Nice to see you.
Yeah, you could maybe give the audience a bit of your background, introduce yourself. Is your first time on the Brian Ruhe Show?
Yes, well, I'm originally from New Jersey, and I'm down here in South Carolina since 2009. And I woke up in 2009, and
Woke up. We know what that means. Woke up.
oh, okay,
Woke up
well,
to
I
the
went
Jew world order, I guess.
to the world order, everything really, UFOs and the reality of that, and everything really. I mean,
Yeah, you and I had kind of a parallel wake up, similar things like paranormal stuff, UFOs, New World Order, banking, the Jewish question. We had a similar series of
yes,
wake ups, actually.
right. Then Germany, Hitler, and
Yeah,
and I'm still learning. I mean, I'm still more and more things coming out. So I've been, like I said, I've been down here for a while, and it's a different environment. I'm used to it now. It's about since 2009. So now I'm out on like 6 acres. So I'm sort of away from a
well,
town.
nice.
Where it's better, it's quieter,
Yeah.
and
Probably hotter in the summertime. It's a pretty warm day here in Vancouver, but for you
uh,
it's probably like
yeah,
95 degrees.
I don't miss the snow or anything like that.
Yeah,
New Jersey was real. This year they got hit really bad, so I was sort of enjoying myself. I didn't
yeah,
have to go out. And
yeah.
anyway, well, my first, uh, where I woke up about the UFOs when I was listening to Bill Cooper, and I always thought that UFOs were, that they weren't here to harm us, or they were friendly. And when he said that they had human body parts on the UFOs that were downed, that crashed, I was like so horrified. It kind of really shook me for some reason. I just never would have thought that they would do something like that. But that really changed my view then a little bit, that I started thinking they're not all that great. And
Yeah,
when I was,
yeah.
when I was growing up, I did have a few paranormal experiences. Me and my brother, we had a sleepover at my aunt's house one night, and all of a sudden these lights were coming through the window. I don't know, it was around maybe 11 o'clock. I tried getting out of bed, and my brother threw the covers over his head. He was scared of the lights, they were so bright. And I wanted to use the bathroom, so I went to put my foot down, and all across the floor was all these, I could describe them, I was only about 5 or 6,
Oh,
as crowns. They had points on them. When you put your foot down, it actually stabbed your feet with little like bright colors all across the floor, all like where there was no space for your foot. And my brother did see that, and he was terrified. And we told my mother the next day, and my mother says, "Oh, you were probably having a nightmare." But my brother says, "Well, I saw the same thing, Ma. So it's not like that we're
yeah.
having nightmares." And
Wow.
we never
Was he
did
older
it.
than you or younger than you?
He was only like 10 months apart. We were real close.
So he's
Um,
older than you?
Younger, yeah,
Wow.
younger.
So that's pretty young age to communicate that to your mom. So she probably didn't
Yeah.
take it seriously.
Oh, my mother says, "Well, your aunt did witchcraft." And I said, "What?" So
Really?
that was weird too. She says, "I think your aunt was doing witchcraft." See, back, and my mother came from Italy, and they believed in all that. They were very superstitious, but I didn't know about her doing witchcraft. So
Well, what do you think it was then?
it was just something to keep us in the bed. In other words, we couldn't, and I don't remember anything else, just the bright lights. My brother just kept repeating, "Oh, those bright lights. Did you see those bright lights?" I said, "Yeah.
Well, what if
And
there was an alien craft, a UFO outside shining a bright light, and then you might have been abducted? Think you had any
well,
missing time at that time?
this is what I thought. I mean, at that time, I didn't know. I was a kid. But now, I mean, there is circumstances with the bright lights. So that was one of my first experiences. And then later on, my mother's house, when we were small, I was still maybe about 7. I used to see by her bedroom door, it was like a luminescent green figure that would just like almost like fluorescent green, and he would just move like this, not moving his feet, but his arms, and I was terrified.
Can you show us with his arms what he was doing with his arms?
Yeah, he was like going like this, like waving, like sort of beckoning me, and I was like terrified. I didn't even want to stay on the one side, on the right side of the house, where the couch was, because it was just scary. I didn't want to see it. But that occurred quite a few times. And I was telling my children when I got older, and they also saw weird things and noises. They didn't see those figures. But
sounds like a haunted house. If it happens several times, sounds like a ghost.
Yeah, but there's a combination. So that's what I mean. I don't know but the figures look like the little grays that we have now, but they were green. They were fluorescent green, but the same style as the little aliens that
the big head and the eyes.
Yeah, elongated. Their body was.
So you saw that? You mean you saw that?
Yeah, but then there was other things like music.
Sometimes they're green though.
Yeah, like a green, glowing. It was very strange. And then when I got to be like 17. I don't know if anything happened before that, but after, before and after, but around 17, me and my girlfriends, we used to ride down this road, and what it was a factory called Biodynamics. They used to experiment on animals, and I heard, I don't know if it was rumors, I know that they did because I ended up working for them, but they had buried an elephant and all kinds of animals that they had experimented on across into a field, and it was very like desolate. It was out in the boondocks, at that time, and we would drive, and one day we were driving at night around 7 o'clock, and all of a sudden I see all color lights, going around on the top like a circular blinking, and like around, UFO type looking thing on the ground. And my friends were in the car, 2 friends, and we were all like, oh my God, what's that? It was in the field, We drove, and then the next minute, we're driving on the other side. 2 hours later, what happened to the time? I couldn't believe it. It was already like 8 or 9 o'clock. And
wow, real missing time.
Don't know what happened, disappeared, but it was, we all 3 of us, we did see it. We weren't drinking at the time, even though I think we were, maybe we were 18, but the drinking age, I think, was 18. But
where was this? Was this New Jersey?
This was in New Jersey, yeah. I think it was on, now see, I'm trying to think of the road, but it's by this park, Colonial Park, and it was like a back road. But I thought it was creepy that it was in this field that supposedly these experimented animals were on. And years ago, then years after, I actually started working at this facility. It was not my choice, though. I was working as a temp, and they had a job for me. And what I was a statistical pathology typist. And I cannot stand to work there because...
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, the animals crying. All you hear was poor animals crying, and
gosh.
Writing the statistics of the deaths, how they died, because of course they made them die, and the cancer, blah, 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 so I really, I hated that job. They wanted me to stay on. I said, no, thank you. Because it's depressing, I'm not the type of person.
But you don't think it's connected to a UFO landing, right?
Could be, maybe.
Who knows? Maybe.
With the bodies, you think about the mutilated cows and all.
Mutilated cows. That happens.
No, I don't know there was a fascination, obviously.
That's a mystery, right? I know UFOs have been seen with mutilated cows and Sasquatches at the same time.
Yeah, at the same time. Also, they found mutilated humans now. There's been cases of mutilated humans the same way as they find the cows, the same parts removed. So that's, I mean, it's not as frequently, but that has been occurring. They
And
did
people go
find
missing, eh? People go like in
people.
national parks like Wyoming. What's the
Yeah,
big one in Wyoming? What's it called?
missing 411. It's called David Pilates.
Yeah.
He has done
It's
a
Yellowstone.
documentary.
I think Yellowstone National Park. They go missing there.
Yeah,
A lot of people go missing.
right. There are people, well, in one year, 797,000 children under the age of 18 went missing in the United States alone.
Over 700,000 went
Seven,
missing.
seven. Yes, if
Were
you
they
look on
found?
the,
Were they ever found?
no, these are the ones not found.
See, this
Yeah,
might also relate to the international Jewish power and the Masons and child
oh,
sacrifices and drinking children's
definitely.
blood full of
Right,
adrenaline
right.
and oh gosh.
And organ theft is a big
Oh,
one.
yes.
That's been done.
How do
I
we
mean,
divide this up here?
yeah, yeah.
How many
So,
of this and how many of that?
right, right. So it's all a combination of satanic. Actually, tomorrow night is going to be June 21st is a big human sacrifice night,
Is it?
and for children, yeah,
Watch your kids tomorrow night.
right. It's a summer solstice. That's a big one.
No, I'm
And,
wondering, you have kids, right, and grandchildren. Normally with the abduction, what often happens is
right,
they develop hybrids, right? The kids become part hybrid, and then their kids,
right.
and abduction happens within families. What about your parents? Were your parents abducted?
Um, Now my mother, I mentioned to her about the UFOs, and she said in Italy they used to call them flying plates
Well, there you go.
in Italian.
There you
And
go.
she had a couple of stories. She told, well, also they believed in fairies and gnomes and things. She told me that when they used to do the grain, they'd always make sure they left a little bit of grain before harvesting for the little elves, the little, people.
Yeah,
The
other
little,
cultures will do that too. Like in Buddhist
yes.
cosmology, we have
So,
various devas and
yeah, and
lower devas.
right, and they took that serious. And my mother did say about the flying planes, how I don't even know how to say plates in Italian. I wish I did. Piazza, I think. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's what she described. My father, he did not like to talk about anything like that. He was like me. He loved to watch all the sci-fi, Outer Limits, Twilight Zone. He was a big fan of those. He loved that science fiction. That's where I think I started from when my
But your
father
mother,
got me
though,
into.
do you think both your mother and father were experiences, or just your mother?
Possibly. I mean, she didn't say anything to me, but
Did she
it's
say?
possible.
Did she actually see a flying plate, or she just heard about it?
She said they saw them and heard of it in Italy.
Her
Now, I
and
don't know if
her husband and your dad?
no, not my father, but when my mother, before she married my father over in Italy during the war, I think she mentioned maybe during the war too, so I'm not sure of the
Yeah.
exact time frame.
Yeah, see, I'm thinking of the year 1947. Of course, that's when around the world people started seeing flying
Right,
saucers. In the war,
right,
they actually had the Foo Fighters. Or so,
right,
well,
right,
yeah.
right. Well, in 1947, if you go on the FBI vault, you'll see a guy Hodel, and he did witness, it wasn't the Roswell crash, it was another crash. He did witness 3 UFOs were down, that they crashed, and 3 bodies in each. And it tells you right in the FBI vault.
Wow.
That,
Where did that happen?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember somewhere out in Arizona, but it wasn't Roswell. I know it
Wow,
wasn't.
another one, eh?
It was in 1947 also, I believe.
But do you think your
Or for,
mother did your mother see this after 1947 or before?
well, she came here in 1949, so probably before in Italy. Yeah, she used to tell me
Wow.
about other things.
Yeah, I know flying saucers. This is a picture of one in Oregon from like 1927. Like they've been seen before.
Right, right.
Oh
So
yeah, they've been
long.
seen before that. Yeah, amazing. So
Right,
your
right.
mother, it seems quite possible then she might have been abducted. Do you like it does happen within family? I know
Yeah.
the research
Oh,
by
my
David
daughter,
Jacobs
definitely. My
happens within
daughter, when
families.
she used to stay there, she said a lot of weird things happened at my mother's house besides the music, and she said about lights also. So, but she's got it like a sixth sense. The one daughter that I have,
Your
she can
daughter.
sense ghosts, and she's sensitive. Like I said, she's photographed every place we've gone, well, especially Salem, and St. Augustine and different places. She takes pictures and she'll photograph the orbs and the activity
Wow.
on the video. Yeah, she's done that. And she could tell if a place is haunted or spirit. You know, she's
Wow.
very sensitive.
So your daughter,
Yeah, she's more than,
does she have a child herself?
no, no, my 27-year-old doesn't. My younger daughter does, but I don't think she's ever experienced anything like that.
Oh,
No,
so maybe
she's,
one's an experience and the other isn't.
yeah, the other one. And then when I lived in Neshannock, I also had a thing with the lights now that you're talking of where it's coming back to me that
Good.
in a farm and there was like strange lights and stuff. And it was an area that has a story about the hounds from hell. It's a real, it's a true story about these hounds.
Well,
Their
where is
eyes
this? Where is it?
up in the Sourland Mountains in New Jersey.
New Jersey.
And,
Oh,
yes, and it's a story about these dogs, and they have red eyes, and we actually saw them one night, a row of red eyes just like walking in a line. So it was kind of creepy, and I didn't know about this story until later, and I found out
wow.
that they're called the Hounds of Hell, and they're in the Sourland Mountains, and we lived right, near that area.
So what
So
was it? Do you think it was some type of a ghost that looked like a dog?
they say they were dogs, but maybe they took form of maybe they were demons disguised as dogs.
Maybe
I'm
some
not,
type of ghost or demon. Yeah.
yeah, ghost or demon. But I forgot the story. That was like 30 years ago. So I did look it up, though I know it's people. It's like a legend, but people do see it. I don't know about now, but I think it was in Weird New Jersey magazine. They might have put that in there. They do a magazine for every state, all ghosts and paranormal and different stories. And I think it made it in there.
Wow.
So,
So
and yeah, then I started, after the UFOs, then I started looking into David Icke, and I started watching Reptilian videos.
oh
And
yeah.
I make of them. I really didn't know what to make of them. I didn't know if they were doctored
This was
or
his book. Yeah.
it's-
This is
okay.
David Icke's book. I think 1999 first talks about the reptilians in a big way. The biggest secret. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy for back then too.
Yeah.
I mean, it creeps you out now.
Yeah.
So I was going on YouTube. I mean, I got on the computer in 2009. I was late, and I started, like looking at David Icke, and I started looking at all these reptilian eye videos. Well, the one famous one is the one with George Bush, and that's pretty convincing. I mean, you look at it, I don't think it's fake, but at that time, I wasn't too sure. People said, "Oh, it's fake, it's fake." Okay, well, maybe it isn't real, but he's pretty evil and everything. And so,
Yeah.
there was another one with Nicki Minaj.
But I think George Bush could be a reptilian as possible. George
Oh,
H.W.
yeah,
Bush. Yeah.
the Queen, she definitely, the George Bush and the Queen are related.
They're related.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, and Obama, and they're Jewish, the royal family. But I definitely believe that she is a reptilian.
Yeah, I think it's possible. And also the Rothschilds, like Lord Jacobs or Evelyn Rothschild, they could be reptilians.
Right, right. And I think it was Arizona Wilder. She did a video of the Queen where she actually saw her change. And Princess Diana, yeah,
Queen.
Queen.
She's our queen, right? I'm a Canadian. I grew up
Right.
singing
Yeah,
God Save Our Gracious Queen. Grade 1, grade 2, we'd sing this. Then they dropped it after a while.
Yeah, well, but they said Diana, she feared them. She knew that they were reptilian.
Yeah.
And according to, I don't know if that's true, but what's his name? Vladimir Putin, he said she's not human. So, I mean, there's something.
Did the Lady Diana meet him? Who said that?
Well, Vladimir Putin said that Queen Elizabeth, she's not human.
Oh, he said that. Putin said
Yeah,
that.
he's not human. So,
That he
but
said that the
Princess
queen was not
Diana-
human.
yeah, well, Princess Diana, she didn't trust her, and I think she said Prince Charles was reptilian.
Could be.
Saw him.
Oh, she's the son of Queen Elizabeth.
Right, right.
Actually,
So
in this book, the witnesses say that Queen Elizabeth and Prince Charles would fight over the food. They would take over reptilian food, and they compete over the food, tearing it
yeah.
apart together.
Oh my God. Yeah, I heard that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I didn't know for sure if I could believe it, but then in 2010, my brother got murdered, and
Oh,
it was a bad time.
yeah.
And we were having a service for him, and my cousin came, of course, all the relatives, and she had a woman with her that was never at a funeral. She said she was never at a funeral. So I said, oh, okay. She says, oh, well, she's Jewish. She doesn't, they don't go to, I don't know what kind of funeral. They just bury theirs right away, I guess. They don't go to a viewing or a service. And she was uncomfortable, I guess. And I looked at her eyes, and sure enough, she had brown eyes, but you could see the eye, the pupil was not a pupil, it was a slit.
Wow,
And
like a
I
lizard.
looked like, oh, am I seeing this? And sure, I mean, I did see it. But of course, there was no witnesses. So, that's what I'm saying. Every time we were around, there was never anybody, that whenever I saw it, there was never anybody that saw it with me. They were just not there. It was just between
So,
me and the person.
can you describe what you saw? There's a slit, but the slit changed? Did it come and go? Or did it always remain the same?
I looked at her for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Then when I looked back, she was back to normal. I mean, I just talked to her briefly. I don't even know what I said to her. I just, hi, nice to meet you. And she just looked at me, and her eyes were like slits. And then next time I looked at her, we were walking. Next time I looked, she was back to normal. It wasn't real. I wasn't sure what was going on. And then I
Wow.
thought of David Icke and those videos, and I said, oh my God, I've seen my first reptilian. But I mean, she didn't have scales or anything like that. It was just the eyes were enough
So
to
she looked
scare
like a
me.
normal human.
Yeah, I mean, she looked okay, but just the eyes. I said, what person's eyes do that? The only thing I see
Yeah,
is
this is
cat.
rare. Like that's why I want to have you on the show. Like I only have one friend in
Hmm.
Vancouver I know personally who actually saw a woman's eyes shift to reptilian eyes and then shift
Oh,
back. I only know one person in the city who's had that experience.
right,
Al
right.
Matthews, who've done videos.
Hmm. Well, see, that's why you tell somebody and they look at you, they'll say, oh, you're crazy. I mean, they don't believe it. They laugh. Um, I mean, I didn't tell anybody. That's the thing. I didn't tell my cousin. I never told her to this day. And then when my brother was dead, I was in contact with all my cousins. And my one cousin, she was on the phone with me. She's a nurse. And she said, we were talking about our parents. We both came from abusive households. My father beat me, and her father beat her, and they had violent tempers. Plus, they drank. And she said to me, oh, the worst thing I could remember about him was his eyes. And I said, what do you mean? And she says, oh, he used to get mad and he had those slits in his eyes. He had dark eyes. She described the slits. I says, you're kidding me. I said, well, I never noticed that on my father, but she told me that. I says, then I told her about the lady then. I says,
Oh,
well,
so this is your
you're
cousin, you
telling me that,
mean?
yeah, my
So this
cousin,
is your father's brother?
my father's brother.
So if your father's brother was a reptilian, what about your father?
Oh, it's possible he could have been. I never saw him. I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't put anything past all bad, everything bad that I have, I inherited from my father. So it wouldn't surprise me.
Oh.
They kind of have I'm not a bad person. I'm just saying, like illness and stuff. They had a lot of illness and things, and I got the heart problem and like things like that. But their family was pretty messed up all the way back. We heard that a curse was put on my family. Now, see, I told you that in Italy, they're very superstitious, and my uncle had
Oh, it's
done
done in
some.
Italy, you mean?
Yeah, they were all from Italy, and this is what I heard. I mean, I don't. It's not. I don't know if it has anything to do, but I found out that a curse was put on him from a witch. Whatever he did in Italy was put on his like a generational curse. Um, but I don't know if it has any relevance between the reptilian. But I'm just saying
You
that.
think it's
I mean,
true? You think the curse is true?
I believe in curses if you're not. religious. In other words, I used to be terrified of curses. You know, my mother had a bad habit of, like, she'd say everybody gave her the evil eye. She used to do this all the time to people. That's the horns. The Italians are big on that. They wear the horn necklace, and they're very superstitious. But sometimes when people look at you, she'd say, "Oh, she's giving me the evil eye," you know. So I grew up with that. So, you know, like if
These
you
are
saw
Catholics,
somebody,
right? They're Catholics?
yeah, plus Roman Catholic, but
Yeah.
that's another issue. But anyway, it's possible, but I believe if you're with God and you're really close to God, I don't think the curses could affect you.
Well,
But
thank you.
yeah, well, maybe at that time, you know, the generations, I don't know. I don't know, but I know that my family has bad luck. I had 3 people die in 6 months. Our family doesn't have a long life. So, I mean, I'm praying, knock wood, that, you know, I'm going to be okay, but
I think
I'm just
curses are real. Like 15 years ago, I
saying,
was married to a Thai shaman. So
oh,
her mother's a shaman, her son's a shaman in Thailand, and she is a professional shaman here. And a lot of her clients were East Indians who were suffering from curses. They call it jadoo in the Sikh community. They were
oh,
suffering from
okay.
jadoo curses. So she would try to remove these curses, and sometimes she would succeed. So I was quite
Uh-huh.
familiar. I lived with this stuff
Right,
for years.
right, right. Well, see, this is what I grew up with. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of superstition, a lot of, you know, but that's the way they were in Italy, I guess.
I
I
wouldn't
mean,
really call it superstition. To be fair, I think there definitely are
oh yeah,
higher realm powers. They can be used
I
for
believe
good
that.
or
Yeah.
bad
Well,
purposes.
she'd say, like, don't walk under, you know, don't open your umbrella, you know, in the house. One time we had an umbrella. We were playing around like Mary Poppins. She said, don't open there. It's bad luck. Don't go under the ladder. You know, they had all that. I mean, that's kind of, you know,
Yeah,
superstitious.
maybe
But
that's
yeah,
superstition. Where's my umbrella here? Okay.
yeah. I do believe in the curses, though, you know.
Yeah, me
So
too.
anyway, she told me. So then I says, oh, so somebody else actually saw these eyes, you know, and it was happened to be my uncle. But I believed it, you know, because I just believed it, you know, that she told me the truth. Well, I didn't know he was. I knew he was violent, but I didn't know he actually molested, actually raped his other daughter. So he was pretty bad. So if anybody would be a reptilian, I think it might be him. Um, but I mean, he made my father look good. So
Well,
anyhow, but that was the first time, and then I had a second incident um, that happened at my house. That I had Jehovah Witnesses coming to my house all the
oh,
time.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but they were, you know, I didn't want to be mean, you know, I would listen to them, but I told them I'm not changing. I told them I used to be a Roman Catholic for like 52 years, and then when I found out the horrors of the Roman Catholic Church and what went on with the Pope, and, you know, I said, I got out. I don't belong to a church. I'm just a Christian, you know. And anyway, we would talk. One time, it wasn't her that showed up. It was a different guy that I never saw before. I think she was sick or whatever. And they always come in twos. And he was an older gentleman, maybe in his 60s. And another, I think a woman that was with him. He's tall, you know, blue eyes, you know, nice looking guy, white hair. Okay, so I didn't let him in or anything, but I was outside talking. I don't know what the subject what we were on, but anyway, his eyes, his eyes had a black line. It was so distinctive. It was like you couldn't miss it. It's not like he had brown eyes. There it was, to, you know, all of a sudden I said, oh my God, I'm seeing this again now from this Jehovah Witness. Then, you
Wow.
know, I didn't say anything. I was holding on. I remember I had a cross on. I was holding my cross. I was trying. I knew I read about that they love fear. You know, any reptilian, they feed off that fear.
Yes, I
So
think so.
yeah, so I was just trying to relax. You know, I didn't want to get all bent out of shape, but I said, my God, this is how I'm mumbling to. I'm thinking to myself. And he left. The next week, they came every week, every Sunday they came. She came back. I says, oh, you weren't here this week. What happened? You sent this other guy. Oh, he's a member of the, you know, of the, whatever they call it, the hall, you know, Kingdom Hall. And I said, you know what? I'm going to tell you right now. This was weird. I said, you know, he had these eyes with such slits in them. And she says, oh my God, what do you mean? I said, well, his eyes were not, you know, were not normal. I said, they, you know, Oh, I never saw that about
But did
him.
they change in front of you?
Yeah, they changed. When
Wow.
I was talking to him, all of a sudden, boom, I looked, or maybe I looked down, I looked back up, and I can never forget it because they were that clear. He had sky blue
Were
eyes.
they sky blue eyes and they had black
And
slits vertical?
black, yeah, black, not
Vertical.
vertical, up and down
Like a
lines.
snake, you mean?
Yeah, like a snake.
Wow.
And like, I mean, but it was so obvious. So she didn't believe me, like, I mean, she looked like very confused. She thought I was crazy. She says, "Oh, he's a nice guy." I says, "Well, he seems like a nice guy." I said, "I don't know, I'm just telling you what I saw. It was weird. Did you ever notice that?" No, no. So then I was in contact, well, I don't know, maybe a few months later. My girlfriend, she's an actress out in California, and she became a Mormon a long time ago.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, she went from the frying pan into the fire. She was a Catholic, and then she went to be a Mormon
Now, I
about.
mentioned both of these are, I think, Rothschild created Masonic. The
Right,
Jehovah Witness and the Mormons created by the Masonic
right.
Rothschilds.
And yeah, Russell Tate. I think he was no, the Russell bloodline. Tate Russell. He was a Mormon. I mean, a Jehovah Witness, and they even have his tomb has a pyramid. Yeah, so he was a Freemason. Yeah.
There you go. So I think the connection to the Rothschilds might show the reptilian connection to this Jehovah Witness there with the slits. I'm just thinking, making a
Right.
connection there.
Right. Right. Yeah. So this is another person. So then she said, "Oh well, I'm going to have two of my friends come, to your house." I said, "Well, who are they?" "Oh, they're Mormon elders." I said, "Well, I didn't want to be nasty. She wanted me to like listen to them talk, but she knew I wasn't going to change." Well, I said, "Okay." So they both came over, and it was a short guy with glasses. And all of a sudden, my dog, first thing my dog did was bark, 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 bark. He did not like that guy. He went
Oh,
over
that
to,
means something. Whoops.
yeah, and I said, "My God, he never does that, Bailey. He's usually okay." The other guy he didn't have a problem with, but he didn't like that guy with the glasses, the short guy. So, I don't know. We were talking, and he was trying to pet him, and I said, "I wouldn't pet him if I were you. I don't think he's too happy." So I looked, and his eye had the slit in also. I mean, it sounds crazy with the glasses. It was kind of hard, but I saw him, and I said, "Oh my God, no wonder why my
So,
dogs."
so again, you're
So
seeing there's a process, a change, right? A
yeah, he
change.
changed. They changed. But nobody was there again. My kids were out. Nobody was there. There no witnesses. Every time this occurs, there's nobody there. It's like hard. It's hard to believe.
Well, he came
So
with the other person, right?
yeah, the other person. Yeah, they were talking. Then he finally left. Then I says, well, I'm not gonna change. And
So you
I
never
kind
bring it up at the time. You didn't say, "Hey, your eyes look like slits there." You never say it to the
I don't know.
person.
I always felt like doing it, but then I kind of chickened out. I don't know. I don't know. Every time it happens, I say I should have said that, but then I don't know what it is. I don't know. I know what you're saying. I said next time I'm going to do it next time, and next time. I never think there's going to be a next time, but then there's always a next time. So then
So is
the
all this happening in South Carolina where you are now?
yeah, all started when I moved down here. Within the space of Okay, so 2010 it started, and the last one I saw was last year, 2016.
Oh.
So, but then after the Mormon was a Mason, a Freemason.
Just
I
getting
swear,
piled on deeper here.
it's so weird. I had jewelry that I was collecting. I used to be a Christian Zionist also,
Oh, I'm
and
sorry to hear that.
yeah, and I used to give money to John Hagee, and he used to send tokens. And it was a Star of David, the Seal of Solomon came in the mail, I think, from him. And I had so much junk. I said, well, I'll try to sell it over in this called Jockey Lot. And all of a sudden, I'm in there. I wasn't selling too much, a little bit here and there. A guy comes in older, maybe he was like in his 50s, gray hair, shorts, like stocky. He comes over and he said to me, "Oh, you have the Star of David. I love that. I want that." I said, "Okay, fine." And I said to him, well, I tried saying to him, well, I'm getting rid of it because it's not really good, and he says, well, I'm a Freemason. I love that, emblem. So he said he was a Freemason, and I said something like, well, they're with Lucifer. I said they worship Lucifer.
You
His
said that. You
eyes,
said that to a Mason.
yeah, I did
So you're
say, I said,
brave,
I
eh?
think that they worship Lucifer. Oh, no, we don't. And his eyes, he was mad, and his eyes were turned. Another one that turned.
It can happen when they're mad or when they're sexually aroused. Sometimes it can
Yeah,
happen.
or going to funerals or whatever. I mean, I went to 2 funerals and I saw them. So,
And what if a funeral, something about a dead body might affect them?
yeah, maybe, maybe.
Maybe it gets
Well,
them hungry. Who knows?
right. So, yeah. So the next incident was in 2015. I don't remember the year of this one, maybe
But
2013.
can you finish with the Mason? So he got upset, he was a bit
Oh,
angry,
yeah.
his eyes, and then he just walked away?
He got picked up all the, I had Israel stuff, I guess some stuff, he bought that, and then he left, he got pissed off, because, I shouldn't have said that, but I did, because then I had just learned all about that. I mean,
Wow.
I got rid of it, because I didn't want nothing to do with Zionism, and, I
Yeah.
was just learning, and I found out about Freemasonry, I never knew about, I mean, I knew about it, but I didn't know it was that bad, and Freemasonry is Judaism, so that's why he's so obsessed with the Jewish type things. So anyway, he paid for it and he left. And I didn't do so good that day. But anyway, then a couple of years later, let's see, my girlfriend's husband died. He died of a drug overdose. And she was very upset. She was going to have a service. She was getting cremated, but his body wasn't there at the house. She was just going to have people come over. And actually, her landlord was ex-KKK. And his family was at her house because she had gotten friends with them. They were the landlords. His wife was there, and the children were there and stuff. And she, she liked them. She didn't like him. But anyway, we were talking. We had a good time and everything. I met the landlords, the wife, and we were talking. Same thing. My family went to the car. They were waiting for me, and I'm blabbing away. And I look at her. And it was just me and her talking, and she had her eyes changed, while we were talking. So it was, and then it went back, then I looked back, and the
You're
same
saying
thing.
this was your girlfriend whose husband died.
Yeah, my
It's her
girlfriend's,
eyes.
no, not my girlfriend, my girlfriend's husband's landlord's wife, that was the KKK guy, his wife.
Is why her eyes
Okay.
changed.
Her eyes changed,
Oh.
yeah. Well, she was attending that service, that little service, because they were friends. But he was former, supposedly former KKK. But I said that was kind of ironic too, that it happened like that. But I didn't see him, but it was her, the wife. I mean, she seemed nice and everything. I mean, I didn't have a problem with her. But that was the next incident.
But what did
And
her
then,
eyes look like? Like what color were her eyes, and how did it change?
hers were brown too, brown with the slit. They weren't, they weren't like the light color. They were just like a brownish.
So the
And
slit, is it black?
black, yeah, it's always like dark,
Wow.
black. But it really showed prominent in the blue. That's what I mean with the sky blue. It looks stupid, I mean, it does look silly I mean, it doesn't look right at all. But when you have the blue and then all of a sudden black, that's so obvious.
Yeah,
That was
strange.
the
Yeah.
most. That's where you can't like second doubt. You're thinking, am I seeing things? Because brown and black and brown kind of, But when you see that, boy, I'll never forget that. I still see them, with the eyes. And well, then the final incident. I know this sounds crazy. The final incident was last year. I was looking to clean up my yard. So I went on Craigslist and I found a guy named John, and he was originally from Ohio, I think up north. And he came over and we were, first he was with my ex-husband. They were talking about jobs. So I didn't really know what to discuss because it was between him and him. And we started talking and all of a sudden he said something about sign or New World Order or something. And then it got me going. My ex-husband skedaddled because he doesn't like to talk about that. This guy was into talking. So he started talking to me. Oh, you know about the chemtrails? I said, yeah, oh, I know about that. And then we went on. Then I found out he was a Christian Zionist. Okay, that's where we didn't agree. And I said to him, I said, well, I don't agree with that Zionism. I tried telling him about the Jews and, things, and he didn't want to hear it. He says, well, I'm still bringing people to Christ, because he's sort of like, he's one of those born again, and he preaches to people, and he says he's bringing people to Christ. I said, oh, fine, but I said, still, you kind of are not, because that's a false doctrine that you're teaching, He didn't want to hear it. He got mad a little bit. So then we went into the reptilian end, and he looked at me, and his eyes were slits. He got mad that I brought up, I says, oh, about the reptilian. No. He said about getting the reptilians, he didn't want to hear about that. He got mad. His eyes turned, and he went to his car. He took off. He just goes, I gotta go now. Like real abrupt.
Wow.
Like, and then, he got mad because I started talking about reptilian. Then sure enough, his eyes, I looked at him and his eyes turned. In other words, he was showing himself to me. And then he says, I gotta go now. And he just left. He just left. I said, oh my God.
Wow.
And then I came in the house and I told everybody. And they don't know what to say because they never saw it.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, they're not saying I'm lying, but they just looked at me like, oh my God.
So by discussing reptilians, he gets angry, and then he shows his reptilian eyes.
His eyes turned, and we were under a tree talking, you know what I mean? It was kind of a hot day. Yeah, okay, fine. But I mean, I was trying to make excuses. No, I didn't really see that again. And, now it can't be like, how you think, I don't know. I said, again, it's happening. So it was weird. But each one is like each one is all different religion. Like, you know what I'm saying? When I'm saying one's a KKK, one's a Freemason, one's Jehovah's Witness. I got from all walks of different religions.
But they all seem to be connected to the Jews, and I think in ufology, the reptilians and the Greys are associated with the Rothschilds' international Jewish power. Right. So it seems like these reptilians infiltrate Jewish organizations on Earth, and for some reason, you seem to meet these people, or they come to you.
Right. I think because I was sort of a wishy-washy Christian. I was a lukewarm Christian. And plus I was in with the Catholic religion, and then I got real close to God. And then weird things happen, like my ability, like not psychic, but I don't know what it is. Like I'll say something and then the TV will say it. Like if I don't watch TV, but the kids have it on. Like if I say a word, that word comes up. It's just strange. Like I'll read something and then I'll see it again like an hour later, like the same thing. It's just, there's like weird phenomena that happens. I don't know what
I've had that experience myself during like channeling phases or I'm manic depressive myself, so sometimes in a manic state I would have that experience. Something similar to that too.
Yeah, I do have depression also, but that was brought on mostly when everybody died in my family. And
yeah, I've had more manic. I get more the manic channeling thing, more so than depressed.
Well, it's people don't understand that either. My daughter also, she's got bipolar. She's the one that's very psychic and intuition.
Well, it kind of makes sense. I think there's something going on here about people who are channeling or abductees bipolar. We have to understand this. We can't just say, "Oh, this guy's mentally ill." We have to really understand there's something going on here.
Right. Plus, they have a creative ability. Most people that do have that very.
Thank you, Geri.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's what I do. I do, I do like artistic things and crafts and things. So I don't.
Yeah, during a manic phase, I'm really inspired, more creative, definitely bigger mind, bigger consciousness. Sure.
Right. That's how I feel. So it's just that now I haven't seen any more, but I'm not saying I'm never going to see them again because the pattern is that I was seeing them every, 1 year I think I saw 2, you know what I mean? It's sporadic, but.
I wonder if they're coming to you or you have an ability to see them more than others. Like if there's someone that's standing with you, I wonder if they would see it. I guess they would if it's a real split.
That's what I think when I woke up prior to that, I don't know if it's got to do with, being I don't know. I don't know what it
Oh,
is.
you mean
'Cause
did it started after you became Jew-wise? Then it started?
yeah, yeah,
Ah, wow.
that's when
Maybe I'll start
it
seeing
started.
slits.
Well, I think of that movie. What is that? The one with Roddy Piper. They Live.
They
Okay,
live.
that movie.
Yeah.
They Live. Now he said before he died, Roddy Piper, this is a documentary. In other words, based on there is truth in that. It's not that it's all sci-fi.
So it
But
seems
he
maybe when you woke up, they can sense you. Oh, you're someone who knows about the Jews, so they're
yeah,
watching you
yeah,
and they show their eyes.
I think that's what it is. I mean,
Wow.
I never, I mean, I did hear of people seeing them, but not, I never talked to anybody. I read on sites, there was a few people that did see that. But, you know, I like now I believe, I don't believe every video, but I do believe that more now that, that I've seen it in person. You have to see it in person. The video doesn't do justice.
But you're rare. I think people like you are quite rare to actually see this in person.
Hmm. Yeah, well, it's kind of unsettling. I mean, it's not that I'm kind of used to it, but not really. I mean, in a way I am, I'm not, it is, you know, kind of unexpected. You never know who you're going to meet. I mean, it's not every single person, but there is quite a few that came into my life. I
Yeah,
mean, now
yeah.
I don't,
Reptilians must be around.
oh, I believe that,
I think of
definitely.
them in powerful roles like George H.W. Bush, the Queen. Or I don't think of it as just ordinary people, but I don't know. Maybe they're ordinary
Uh,
people.
I think that they're all related. Obama is related to every president except our relative. My husband's relative is Martin Van Buren. He's the only one that's not a bloodline to the presidents. They go all the way back to the Sumerians, to the Egyptians. Their bloodline.
Wow,
And
right?
yeah, and also these actresses and actors like Angelina Jolie, uh, Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt's related to Obama. Celine Dion is related, I believe, to Hillary Clinton. Um, Tom Hanks is Abraham Lincoln. Um,
Really, I didn't know this.
yeah,
I know
oh,
David
quite,
Crosby from the Birds. He goes back
he,
hundreds of years in
yeah,
American
he's a
history.
Illuminati bloodline, or from the Illuminati family. He's an Illuminati family.
Which
Uh,
one?
I'm not Crosby. I'm not
Yeah,
sure, but
Crosby. Oh, you mean
yeah,
Tom
yeah.
Hanks?
Oh, Tom Hanks. No, he's with. See, Abraham Lincoln. His name was uh, I forget what the last name they say. Uh, Gosh, he's Jewish anyway. I can't remember
Yeah,
that.
President Lincoln was Jewish. He's a very bad president. He had this war going, killing all these
Yeah,
Southerners. Totally unnecessary. He was really quite evil, Abraham
yeah.
Lincoln.
Like
Not at
Obama,
all what we've been told in the history books.
right? Like Obama, he's one quarter Jew from the house of David. They
Oh,
said they
I'm sorry to hear
traced.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and who else? I mean, FDR they claim is
Yeah.
Johnson, Lyndon Johnson.
Johnson was Jewish.
Uh, I don't know who else now. I'm trying to think, but well, they say George Bush is Jewish too.
Oh, I never heard that.
Tex Mars, I think he did a study on him. He believes that he's Jewish.
Wow.
Hillary Hillary Clinton has Jewish roots.
Oh,
John Kerry Cohen, he's Jewish.
yeah, John
And
Cohen, Kerry, Jewish,
yeah, now
very
three
Jewish.
of them, see, George Bush, John Kerry, and Hugh Hefner and Prince Charles are all related.
Uh,
And Prince Charles, George Bush, John Kerry related to Vlad the Impaler.
oh, well,
And,
Vlad wasn't all bad.
yeah, yeah. And then George Bush is related to 200 out of 1,500 Salem, between the witches and the judges, 216 he's related to. And then, of course, Aleister Crowley is supposedly George Bush's, the Barbara Bush's father.
Yeah, I've heard that story too. I don't know.
All their family is just a lot of bad blood in
A very
there.
protected family. I guess we're waiting for George Bush Sr. to die so we can get the truth about the Kennedy assassination. He was right there in Dealey
Yeah,
Plaza
right
witnessing the
there,
Kennedy
right,
assassination. He was part of it. He was CIA part of it.
right,
So he
They
was in
have
line to become president. They were part of this club. We don't have to go too much into that.
right. Well, so that's so here I am. That's the wakening up with these reptilians. Um, I mean, I would hate to see them actually morph with scales, and there's people that say they witnessed Justin Bieber and
I wonder.
I forget who else. There's
You know,
a few people.
for the audience, I could just read a bit of this. Is Dave Icke's big book in
Oh,
1999 called The Biggest Sale. He starts off
oh,
with a chapter called "Don't Mention the Reptilians." I could just read a bit so the audience will realize there is some. He's got some research, to back this
right.
up. It says here, it says, in UFO research, there's a group called the Reptilians. He says, I'm not alone in this view. I've personally been staggered by how many people today are open to these possibilities, indeed, are coming to the same conclusions through their own research. These include many would have laughed at the very idea not long ago. Dr. Arthur David Horn, a former professor of biological anthropology at Colorado State University in Fort Collins, once believed emphatically that the Darwinist version of human evolution, the slow development of the human species via the principle of the survival of the fittest, but purely on the weight of evidence in his own experience, he's now convinced that humanity was seeded by extraterrestrials and that a reptilian race has controlled the planet for thousands of years and continues to do so today. This is my own view, although I've taken a very different life path to reach these same conclusions. Dr. Horn's research is detailed in his excellent book, Humanity's Extraterrestrial Origins, which he suggests that the ones the Sumerian tablets called the Anunnaki are the reptilian race, another point with which we agree. The famed British astrophysicist Fred Hoyle told a London press conference as long ago as 1971 that the world was controlled by a force which could manifest in many forms. They're everywhere, he told astonished journalists, in the sky, in the sea, and on the earth. He said that they controlled humanity through the mind. I know this sounds utterly bizarre, but you need to read the whole of The Biggest Secret to see the wealth of evidence to support this. If you pull out now or after a couple of chapters because your belief system is in overload, that's your choice, but you miss the opportunity to see this, that the almost hysterically unbelievable is actually true. I'll mention again the Buddhist view. The Buddha described the first heaven is sensuous sphere, the lowest heaven. There's nagas, which are snake-like reptilian creatures, and they can take on human form. The Buddha taught this as examples that the Buddha gave of this.
Right, I believe that. And even the American Indians, I mean, they had witness to these lizard beings, and they even uncovered in
Oh,
I think 1947 under Los Angeles, there's a tunnel system, reptilian tunnel system. They said that it's actually uncovered. They had a newspaper clipping and everything. I think they called it Reptilian Underground City under Los Angeles. And
then what? Then it was suppressed from the news after that?
oh yeah, just like the giants. The giants, they
Yeah.
found so many giants. The Smithsonian, supposedly, they covered it up.
Yeah.
They
Smithsonian
people.
found stuff in the Grand Canyon, two huge caverns.
Oh,
They
yeah,
covered all that up, but it was in the local newspaper at the time in 1909.
yeah, Egyptian artifacts, sarcophagus,
Yeah.
and different from Egypt.
They even had a statue of a Buddha down there in the Grand Canyon
Oh my God!
with all that stuff. So it might relate back to previous advanced ages. Like the Buddha described previous ages with previous Buddhas. The Buddha described this
Oh,
going back
wow.
10 million years. So that could have been from our previous age.
It's unbelievable. Well, even Phil Schneider, I don't know if you listened to Phil Schneider,
Yeah.
the underground bases when he was building it, he said he blasted a hole. That's when he got attacked by these giant reptilian creatures, and they had like a ray gun, and they went like that, and the ray cut off his fingers, and
Yeah.
they got him out of there, but they were reptilian. He said they were reptilian. They smelled, and I believe definitely.
Yeah, I
mean,
believe it. And, as a religious Buddhist, we accept that these things are real. They've always been around. The Buddha said they have lifespans of like 20 million years. So they get around.
Right. Well, that's why Jesus he called the Jews snakes, serpents, and that would include reptilians
Wow.
and scorpion. He said
Good choice of
scorpion.
words, eh? To call them snakes,
Right.
serpents is a real choice of words.
So that's all evil. I mean, I don't think they're good. They're definitely evil.
Well,
That's
from a
my-
Buddhist view, they're not regarded as bad, but I think
Right,
one
right.
view in ufology, there's 5 species of Reptilians
Oh,
are the good one, that's bad, and the bad one
right,
has dominion over the earth now because of ancient treaties. That's one ufology view.
right. True. They have the Nordics and the different ones. They have so many different. I think Russia put out a booklet on the different types of reptilians. I'm not reptilian, but aliens. You know, different. They have like
Russia did?
yeah, I believe it was Russia. Like grasshopper praying mantis types and different. You know, it's not just that little green one. You know, the little EBT.
Or a great gray
Well,
one?
gray one, gray one. And Aleister Crowley was the first one to conjure up that called lamb, and it looked just like the aliens. You know, when he drew the picture of it, it looks just like the aliens that we started seeing. You know, the little grays. I mean, it's identical looking. The big head and the little eyes, and you know that. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's when right after that it started. We didn't start. You know, people didn't start seeing them till years
But
later.
your family history is fascinating. I wonder if your mother's mother had any experience like how I think there's
Oh,
David Jacobs and Bud Hopkins. They're the groundbreakers of this
oh
in the
yeah,
70s,
yeah,
80s. And David
right.
Jacobs was saying they think it began around the 1880s. That's something I don't know if it
Oh,
goes back,
yeah,
time immemorial, but he thought it
yeah,
began around that time.
right,
This
right.
program.
Well, my grandmother was kind of, she had a lot of problems because her husband got killed in World War II, and then she lost her baby of a pneumonia. So
Oh, so
she had a,
he was fighting for Mussolini, I guess, right?
yeah, well, my mother said at first, yeah, everybody loved Mussolini. Then, then Italy turned on him. But my grandmother, she had a nervous breakdown, so she had to be put into an institution, and they gave her electric shock treatment. She was never the same after that. She really
Ah,
communicated. She didn't communicate anymore because she lost her husband, and then like 6 months later, the baby died, and so
ah.
my mother had a, I mean, she was there during the war, so it was a lot of bad things that did happen. But I mean, that's the way the war was.
But
But
you don't
yeah,
think there's any evidence that your grandmother was an abductee herself or an
um,
experiencer?
yeah, yeah, and it's too bad that I should have asked more questions. Now everybody's dead. Everybody's gone basically. Um, my sister's gone, my brother, everybody now. I'm like the only one left, really. My cousin, and she calls me the crazy lady from South Carolina, so she doesn't bother with me anymore.
Well, I've talked to a lot of people. Like I had the third
Mhm.
largest UFO meetup in North America. I started in
Oh,
2009. Then Meetup.com deleted. They said, "Sorry, Mr. You're a Holocaust denier. We're going to delete the whole group. Even though you've
okay.
stepped down, you give it to someone else." 600. We had like 640 members, hundreds of meetings, real
Yeah.
history. Just deleted it like that.
Oh my
It's
God.
Jewish control. Meetup.com
They,
is Jewish
yeah,
control.
they want to wipe out. I mean, I didn't, like I said, I have a YouTube channel. I don't make videos, but they
Well,
took
we
me
should
down.
say that for your audience, for the audience. How can they find you? And do you want
Uh,
to give people your
well,
email address and your YouTube channel?
yeah, my YouTube is Geri, Gerri, space West, West. And my Facebook's Geraldine Romano Westfall. And I post pretty much on there. And then I have a page, Ain't It the Truth? It's called Geraldine Romano Westfall. And I put up, periodically on there. I try to compile all kinds of information like from A to Z. So, I mean, I talk about UFOs, I talk about chemtrails, I talk about World War II. I really, I like to get involved with everything, learn as much as I could.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just,
also want to thank you. Your volunteer work. You post a lot of my own videos onto my
oh,
own Facebook page for me, so you save me
oh,
time. I
okay,
appreciate that. Thank
thanks.
you.
Yeah, I try, I mean, I want to spread the word out to a lot of people. I have friends now all over the world. I mean, every country. People are, I mean, they're so smart, but sometimes the
Oh,
American,
thank you, Jerry.
yeah, no, yeah,
People
you
can
too.
find you on my Facebook page. I got the Brian Ruhe Facebook page. They can probably
Yeah,
find you there too.
get a lot of friend requests. And I mean, it's good that I don't feel alone when I'm on there because, like, everybody else is on there, and then they share. We share our experiences. We post, and I don't know. It's like a big group. I also have one. I have another page that I administer. It's the world, humanity against Zionism, and that's another big. That has about 5,000 some members on that,
Wow.
and that's on Facebook. and I've been getting requests for that. So it's been pretty good. I mean, I know that I'm trying to reach out on my YouTube. I don't, I do post on other people's, and I even have Dennis Wise on on Google. He's been commenting, and I try to do as much as I could. And I want to wake up
How about
people.
where you live? Do you have anyone personally, any friends into this, or are you isolated where you live?
Well, I did find a woman she's nice. She's a Filipino from Philippines, and we were talking. She owned a beauty, like a nail salon, and she's pretty alert. The only problem we had, she believes in the Holocaust, so I don't like to argue. I do tell her my point of view, and I tell her, but we're still friends. It's just that we have a disagreement with that. She just can't believe that it's not, legit. She
Yeah, I guess
believes.
a lot of people, their friends are cyber friends
Yeah,
online. It's nice to have a group of people you can actually talk to in person, but you've got a
right.
lot in
Yeah.
cyberspace.
I wanted to try start maybe a group that I could meet in person, but there's very little people so far from South Carolina. I know so many other people in other states right around me, but in my state, I have one woman, but again, we're stuck on Hitler. She's against Hitler, Nazis, and so she kind of we were talking, and we were going to meet at a coffee shop, and then she found out about World War II when I was telling her about Hitler was a good guy, and she didn't want to bother with me. Then after that, I mean, I tried talking to her, but
Yeah, I
I
guess
thought,
your experience is similar to a lot of people. Like I went through a dry period. I lost a lot of my old friends, and then it took a while to
oh,
cultivate new people. I got about a dozen people in Vancouver personally that I
right,
meet with.
oh, good, yeah. So that's one goal I'd like to do, though, is to have other individuals get together and you know and have like
Yeah.
maybe I could try working on that. It's
But be
it's gonna.
careful if you use meetup.com. I
Oh,
had a group called Vancouver Anti-New World Order. That
oh,
title worked. You could try. You have to
yeah,
couch your phrasing right. You could use
right,
meetup.com for that if you're careful. Don't mention
right.
the Jews or Hitler.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know. You can't be, I mean, it's not that I'm a coward. I mean, I will talk, but yeah, I know what you're saying. Have to be a little cautious sometimes. Um, I
Yeah.
try telling them, but I
I'm
don't force people.
just looking at the time here. It's about an hour. Any more about your own personal experiences? I guess we should wrap up soon. Any more and any of the experiences you want to cover?
Well, I do have another phenomenon in my yard. I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I have woods in my backyard, and
Yeah.
there's we were out one night, and there's lights that actually they're not lightning bugs. At first, we thought it's too early for them. It was just as 2 months ago. We went out back, and there's like little flickering, like one light here, one light there, one light goes down at the bottom, one goes there, one goes there. They're like move over all over, but they just blink on and off, blink on and off. Don't know if it's a bug. I did talk to a lady that's at Clemson, and she thought it was a bug, but she didn't tell me what kind of bug it is.
Well,
It
you
kind
mean a
of
firefly, right?
it's, but it wasn't. Yeah, it's not a fireplace. It's not yellow. It's a white light, like a little blinking light that just goes on. Then it goes up. It goes up. It goes down. They're all in my trees. At night they come out, and
How
I'm not
big
sure.
is it?
Oh, like a little, like those little miniature Christmas lights, real small. Like it reminds me. I was thinking of like little fairies. I mean, but it's just it's crazy.
It
So
could be
I
like a ghost, or they would have described Ruka Davis that live in trees. It might be something like spiritual like that.
well, it's something that's I've never seen before. I don't know what kind of bug would do that. So I'm gonna try to investigate more, and maybe call. I would love to get like a night vision camera and see. Or I mean, it's just crazy to see one light here, one light up here, one light, then it comes down. So it's kind of fascinating to watch. I'm afraid I don't want nothing to disturb it. In other words, I'm like afraid if I did call somebody, I'd have crowds of people coming if it is something that they can't explain. So maybe I better
Do you
leave it
want to
alone.
walk right into the forest? Walk right into it?
Yeah, we kept walking, and I don't know. It's like then we didn't want to go too close, but I should have went more in. But
You should do a
um,
video at night.
Yeah, I got to do a video. We have so many fire ants down here. That's the bad part. At nighttime, then you can't see where you're walking. I mean, 200 fire ants, hills popped up overnight. So you have to treat them. That's the worst part down here is the fire ants. I'm deadly allergic, and I keep getting
What are fireheads?
fire ants.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, fire ants. Oh, the ants.
oh yeah, the ants. Yeah,
Yeah.
they from Mexico.
Oh.
But they're creeping up. They're creeping more and more. But you get bit by them. Oh my God, you can't describe it. I mean, your foot gets all swollen and itching. The itching is unbearable. I have a homeopath thing that I bought to stop the itching. That helps. But it's bad if you step in them. They swarm you.
Well, I guess
You
I'll
know.
stay in Canada though.
Oh yeah. Oh, the bugs here. We have little scorpions and which I didn't know, but they say they're not that bad, but they're like this big, but still scorpions. I couldn't believe it when I first saw it.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, no, I never would have thought. So I have to be careful, I guess, with all these different things.
But I really appreciate your experiences, especially the slits in the eyes and the
Uh,
missing time related to abduction. So I'd like to have you back on the show
I
again.
still never. Yeah, I would love to go through like hypnosis regression, maybe to do something like that.
Yeah, I
Really-
recommend. I've done it. I recommend like
Oh,
past life
okay.
regression hypnosis, or
Yeah.
early childhood experiences, abduction.
Right.
That's what David Jacobs does, right?
Well, I'd love to do that because I want to. It still bothers me, like stuff when you don't know what the answer, what happened. It'll bother you for the rest of your life. I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah, David Jacobs done this with hundreds of people, regression to abduction experiences.
Oh, okay. And he's in New York, I think. I believe
Yeah.
he's-
Watch his
yeah.
videos on YouTube, and there's like 15 aspects of the experience. People all over the world describe the same bizarre kind of experience to describe the
Yeah.
same thing. So
Right,
that lends
right.
credibility to the experience.
Yeah, you can't forget that, when something like that happens to you. See, I like to get to the bottom of it. I'm so nosy, but it's just hard. It's like you have a block. You cannot think, you cannot remember what happened after. It's just you just happened, and then all I
Yeah,
know
that's
is
how it
that-
works. They deliberately suppress people's memories.
right, traumatic too, like traumatic experience.
Yeah.
They say, you block that. It might come out later.
But the aliens
But-
do this with their own methods. David Jacobs and Bud Hopkins estimates that 6% of the world's population has been abducted, but they all get the memory suppressed and they're not aware that they've been abducted. But missing time is the sign.
Yeah, I definitely believe that. We're like experiments. They say that when Eisenhower made the treaty was they weren't supposed to harm or do anything to us if they did take us. But then when they started getting different experiments and things where actually, people were getting mutilated and invasive, procedures and things like that, So they say, never make a deal with aliens.
Well, Eisenhower was so evil with what he did with the Germans after the war, starved to
Oh.
death. Maybe he
Yeah.
made a deal. Go ahead, take them, abduct them, kill them if you
Right,
want.
right.
Maybe he did make a deal like that.
Yeah, no,
1954.
well, see, yeah, when I found out about Eisenhower, now I can't stand him. But I mean, I never knew all this. I read the book Other Losses by I forget. who
Thomas
wrote that.
Goodrich. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's James Bach. James Bach.
Yeah, James Bach, right,
Yeah.
right. I read that, and yeah, that was terrible. What happened. I mean, it was really, sad. And I really didn't like him after that. I mean, I just can't stand him.
Yeah, I can't stand.
People still promote him, just like Churchill, the new movie that they made
Oh.
about Churchill, like he was a saint,
I know.
But when you read about him, how bad he was, I mean, he was a racist. He did India and different things too that he did.
Well, I guess we should wrap up the video now. It's over an hour, and the YouTube audience doesn't like it too long. But I'd like to have you back on, Geri. We can talk about other things as well, another video.
Right. Okay, that would be great.
Yeah, I really appreciate having you on. Thank you very much.
Well, Brian, for having me on.
Okay, see you.
Okay, thank you.
These videos are dependent upon listeners' support, so please donate at the link below. Please like and subscribe. You can copy these videos wherever you like.